We kind of, in general, it discussed, commonly held beliefs that exist about achieving success that are actually not true. Success not being about having discipline in everything you do, but instead on building the right habits to reach your goals, and how everyone has a limited supply of willpower, and deciding what matters on any given day and do it first when your willpower is strongest.
I thought it was really cool how he described that it's kind of like a battery where like you run out throughout the course of the day. And so that's why you want to make those important decisions like earn. And he gave the example of the parole officers.
Yes.
I was like, wow, it would suck to have an afternoon appointment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your script might not be on game
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't eaten and you don't have energy and you're doing evening appointments,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people like because they're at work.
Right.
I think by not doing, or by not having the willpower for that first thing in the morning, you allow all the busy stuff to come in and completely, not just deplete you,
Just
but
overwhelm.
distract you and overwhelm
you.
you. And then at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I didn't get the most important things done.
I learned that in order to win the morning, you must win the night.
Interesting.
And if you don't win the night,
That's a really good aha.
Mhm.
Must go
So I have a question around that.
Oh.
When you say win the night, do you mean things like sleep, getting to bed early, whatever, sleep? Because I know that you're doing Miracle Morning, which I think should be in our upcoming whatever. But also that and Atomic Habits is my suggestion for the next
book,
one.
both those things.
Huge book, like Atomic Habits is a huge book, and I think we're segueing right into these exact topics. But oh, my other question, sleep and just kind of like knowing what your big rock is the next morning, not waking up in the morning going, oh, what's my big rock today?
It's a pre-look, it's a pre-plan, it's sleep, it's mental decompression. Must have.
Something that I do to work towards that, like you said, mental decompression, is before I leave for the day here, I write down all the stuff that I need to get done tomorrow. And that way I take it off my shoulders, off my mind.
That's a free
I
plan.
love that too.
Right, and then I can go home and like not have to have my mind on work.
It's like a flight check.
Well, like a friend of mine years and years and years ago, like, cause I have crazy brain, like I dream about work, I dream about all the things, it's blah, 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 the waitress nightmares is what I call them, back in my day. But he taught me to keep a notebook by the bed, and when those things start overwhelming, to just pull out the notebook. It's like in the dark, but I'm writing them down because your brain is afraid it's gonna forget those things.
Yeah.
So just quickly,
I replaced the notebook with my phone.
no, I don't
And
wanna open
instead
my
of-
phone.
And see, what I do when I get back, it's a word, not a sentence, and I go to the calendar. And I go, next day, John Leese, say. Stacy's daughter, say.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, all I do is put in keywords, and I get them out the night before, and then in the morning they pop up. Now, part of my pre-flight check in the morning is a restructuring of my day as big rocks require. So those little notes that I throw on the night before that I won't forget, they don't get done the next day. They get assigned. Does that make sense?
It does,
Get
but I
assigned.
would literally open my phone and have text alerts and all this
Yeah,
other
you
stuff. I cannot open my phone. It literally goes face down on my charger. I just cannot. It's not the ringer.
But do
You
you
pick it up to add something, yes.
I know, but I agree with you. But I'm saying I also turn off. You
I
can have your
turn
ringer on and
my
decompress.
ringer's off and my notifications are turned off. But if you pick up your phone and those alerts are there, you're seeing them.
Yeah, you can set it on iPhones to do not disturb, so you turn that. It doesn't, when you see alerts, like, oh, you have this many emails, you can take that out.
Oh.
Okay, does that
I like
still
that.
allow for like your emergency contact stuff to come
You
through?
can customize.
I want a class on this. I want
Ooh,
you to
I
I
like
will
this.
show you.
show me the way,
right
show me the
after.
course. that you
Yes,
got.
because that's what I do, because I do the same thing, if it's like, oh, yeah, if it's late at night,
I had to eliminate paper, and I'm gonna tell you what. The next day, I had to deal with all the paper. Talk about a distraction in the morning. Now I'm rewriting things I already wrote down to put them where they belong, but I couldn't just put them where they belong again. Now, I am an organizational freak, you know what you're saying about your mind. Everything in my house has a place. And my mind works that way. So when I organize pieces of data, it has a place. And I tried to post another thing year one. You know that shit has a time.
I'm a
You end up with
post-it
10,000
noter.
post-it notes.
let's see.
I just need one spot, I just need one spot, and my one spot has been my calendar. Now, I still have to reorg, but at least I reorg from that one spot.
Yeah, because I think we're out in the field, or I was out in the field, right? That's different than when you have a set workplace and you can have your post-its like, okay, you know, like Megan Link has like little post-its all across the top of her laptop, and she just flicks them off throughout the day.
And she finishes, yeah, that works, right?
Yeah.
But in the field, in the car,
You can't
it's
have
my
paper.
phone,
Yeah.
it's.
Okay, back to, Alana, get us back on track.
Okay. So back to willpower, since we did kind of talk about discipline a little bit. Especially, and then, yeah, I guess we talked about both, but what I would like to talk about, just sort of like balance life, if that's okay.
I didn't,
Let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I missed the part about discipline.
Yeah,
but
let's talk about
I
that
thought it
first.
was really interesting how he talked about how it takes 66 days on average for us to form a habit. And I was surprised because that seems like a lot longer than I was
No.
ever expecting. I thought it was like 2 or 3 weeks.
people used to say 30,
No,
It's
it's
a
a
lot.
longer. Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's the
So-
whole range. It can go from like 14 days till like almost a year,
Well,
Right.
which I think is,
Depending
and
on
then
the
like in the
person.
middle is
Yeah.
66.
Well, and that's what I think I love about Atomic Habits, is he talks very specifically about how to create a habit quicker by habit stacking and by or like, by like, okay, if I want to drink more water, for example, I put a water at
In
my.
order, John, T-O-N-Z, large mushroom sauces. Yes, it was.
I put water next to my bed, I put a water next to my chair where,
Thank you very much for putting it on.
whatever, like you create. this that habit or whatever. But I also, like, I love the comment that you made about discipline, is that discipline isn't real. It's like, it's not,
Right.
it's a lie.
I think he really went into it about how like you're expected to be disciplined in all things at all moments, and that's not even reasonable.
Yeah,
It's just a sprint until you can create and maintain those habits when you're doing.
Yeah.
So it becomes even easier the longer you're going. But really, the discipline comes in at the very beginning when you're creating and implementing.
well, I don't mean to jump 1 to 3 to 2 blah, 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 but like, I don't believe in the word balance. I don't, can be balanced. I think I like the word center.
I think they're both good.
I think like balance to me is assuming that if you're off in one direction, that you're out of balance, that sends you, like, my life isn't balanced, you know, you just need to be flexible. And then like Rick Schweiker, total nerd, but, but he used to always say, be like the long blade of grass in the wind, you know, that's just bending, but you always come back to center. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And I think center implies that it's like your values, your important things are what's in the middle. And there's gonna be things throughout your day or your life that are gonna bend you this way and that way, but how do you get back to that middle?
How about this? I use yoga. We use centering in yoga to find balance, right? We center our soul, we center our breath, we be sent to our body, right? And that produces calm. And for me, balance is calm, right? Where my mind can say, I'm not overwhelmed, even though I have to accomplish 10 things today. Because I have a plan to accomplish those 10 things and an order of operation in which I'm going to do them, in which I believe I will be highly probable at succeeding accomplishing those 10 things. And I feel very balanced there and centered. I think they're great words.
I think that on page 73, kind of towards the middle, this was kind of like my aha. This when he was like, you know, balance is a farce. Was that yeah, so we hear about balance so much, we automatically assume it's exactly what we should be seeking. It's not. Purpose, meaning, significance. These are what make a successful life. I think that even tying back to, you know, finding your one thing, you know, while your life will, of course, swing on a pendulum between, you know, something work heavy and something personal life heavy, you know, as long as it has, you know, significance to you and a purpose, I think that's what helps distinguish your one thing in both your work and personal life, so then you can strive to meet those goals. And then on 74, I've been complaining to Eva about this for like a week, but not to accidentally radicalize anybody, but so, you know, like he covers, you know, consequently, the 20th century witnessed the start of significant grassroots movements to protect workers and limit work hours. And so now that's why we have the 40-hour work week. But even actually, so like the modern US worker works between 2,100 hours and 2,700 hours a year. And then at the turn of the 20th century, because I did research, because I was like, how often, how, you know, if we're talking about work-life balance,
Right.
like how much time are we actually dedicating to on hours and off hours? And then at the turn of the 20th century, so about the 1940s, when the 40-hour work week was like, became like the really big thing, we were at actually 1,944 hours on average. And so we've actually increased from there. And then in medieval England, it was 1,200 hours.
Yeah, they get one block too.
Yeah, so it's a good time to that was, yeah, a little haunting. But I think still, like, you know, especially as real estate agents, it's the whole like, oh, I like it because like I can set my own hours. But then now you run the risk.
I'm gonna speak to that.
Yes, yes, no.
Yeah, I'll speak to that.
We know.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
that's like, but that's the thing, is like, because, you know, even in K-Score, actually, the marketing is you get to set your own hours. And I'm like,
I thought K-Prep would at least have, I haven't seen it yet. I was hoping that K-Prep would say, please don't accept this career if you think that your time can fully be your own. Like there's
no, there's literally, that is the marketing ad
Oh,
that they have. I
yeah.
haven't showed it to you.
So I have a great example for you guys to share on this.
Mhm.
I used to be in public accounting. And from the middle of December until the middle of April, we worked 7 days a week. From the middle of April until the middle of December, we got Fridays off. And so we had 3-day weekends. And that was our gift for giving up the first quarter of our year. It was really more than a quarter, quarter and a month. I felt like I worked really hard. In real estate, I work harder. I don't know whether it's healthy or not healthy, but I say it's healthy because it works for me. I used to live in a world where there was work from 8 to 5 behind a desk, and then my personal life. I always felt like my personal life was coming up short. I spent a good portion of my personal life studying to learn skills so that I could work smarter and make more and allegedly work less. That never happened. All those things happened. I never worked less. I worked more. Because the nature of life, and you're seeing it right now in the economy, is that everything costs more. Taxes don't ever go down. Neither does rent, neither does insurance, right? And so it just costs more. And so you have to work more. And you want more. You want more. Well, these surveys from you want too much. We're gonna talk about that more in our thing at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we'll send it there.
Yeah.
Join us at 4 to
So,
hear
yeah,
Chris.
so 4. But I would just say this, I have never worked so hard as I have in real estate, but the work that I do is so much more fulfilling than any work that I've ever done, ever. And I've worked in all sorts of jobs, not just public, all sorts of jobs. And this work is more rewarding than any work I've ever done. So it proves out everything Alana's saying, and the book is saying, that if you have your passion, now work doesn't seem so heavy as a burden, because you want that in your day. You want that in your day, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I've merged personal and business because this business is so personal. Every person that I work with becomes part of my sphere, and my sphere is my world. It's my world. It is my personhood. It's my whole world. And so I merge those things together. I don't have 2 emails. I have 1. I don't have 2 phones. I have 1. I don't have 2 calendars. I have 1. And my life by design happens in that same world, in that same sphere, in that same 24 hours. I can't make that any longer, no matter how hard I try. And trust me, I've tried. I've tried every trick there is, I've read every book. But you have to use those 24 hours better. And I'm gonna shut up. On the topic of habits, this is real, this is what changed it for me. I used to dread getting up, going to work to give it to somebody else. Because my focus was on what they were getting from me, instead of what I was giving to myself. In real estate, I focus on what I'm giving first to myself. Selfishly. Let's see if you're a little bit more selfish. Because when I fill my well, it's so full, it's overflowing, and then I'm able to give it all extra away. And there's no remorse there, there's no regret, there isn't any feeling of, why did I give that person my time?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to give them my time.
Yeah.
It's so much better. And these habits, it's not about how you show up for, don't think of it as how you show up for your boss. That's how I used to think about it 8 to 5 at the desk. And my habits were failing me because I was focused on the habits I was building for somebody else.
Okay,
These are habits for yourself.
yes, but hold up, we're not talking about habits yet.
Right.
We're talking about the setting, so I just wanna circle back. Does anybody else have some, I just feel like there's something about this book that means you need to be purposeful at the beginning of writing down what those, like you have to
What?
name it to claim it, right? Yeah, anybody else jump in, please?
I just want to say that what Chris just said was huge. That was huge.
Thank you, Eva.
Yes. I think that takes time in this business. If you don't, like, you get dragged under, like, it's an anvil that just pulls you under and you cannot breathe.
In your life even.
Yeah, for sure.
I think for, the big ideas on page 83, at the end of number 2, you will have to take what matters to the extremes and be okay with what happens to the rest.
Yeah.
Professional success requires it. And so I think that does kind of tie into, what Chris was saying is that, that she does work more hours, but because that's what matters to her, is like, because this is become both her work and personal life, that is taken to the extreme because that's what matters most.
And I think that's reflected really well in figure 12 on page 80. This is actually the picture that I posted on Facebook. I thought it was really interesting to see that it's not about balancing your life, it's about counterbalancing it in a way that's like meaningful to you. And in focusing in when and how you work best.
Do you see how life is happening all the time, work is happening? Do you see how they overlap, they keep overlapping?
We'll zip back even further and show like on 76, 77. It's showing work life in the middle, work life in the extremes. And I was just telling my husband last night, because he's looking forward to this massive vacation we have in the spring. And I said, that's a Band-Aid. That's why the vacations don't hit in the right, because we're working too hard the rest of the year, and then we relax too hard, and then it's like, boom. I said, it's just a Band-Aid. It's just a Band-Aid. There needs to be more of that.
It seems like that's zigzag.
Yeah.
What you just said.
Oh, no, I feel like
Yours
it's like work.
But that would be the
work,
extremes,
work.
right?
I mean, it's not, or the other way around. I don't know. Does anybody understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
totally
when
makes
you
sense.
look forward to that vacation, but I mean, Dustin Nolf, when I first got my license, I was on his team for 28 days. And, and he's, my God,
Well, let's start with 20 days.
I feel that.
Real fast.
But he said advice and I didn't follow it. And it was one of the reasons why I needed to get out of sales, is that I could not say no. It was too difficult for me. I'm working on it in this job too. But what did he say? He said, schedule your time off now. Schedule that family time now. That is your, he didn't say big rock, but that's really what he was saying. He's like, don't wait, because to schedule that vacation or whatever, and schedule more of them. You're gonna need them.
Yeah.
And it's like a forced centering or whatever.
Jennifer,
Even
hold
what
on.
what they talked about in one of his anecdotes was that it was the husband and wife, where the husband was a farmer and the wife was a teacher, and so they scrapped and saved. They lived super frugally because they were going to retire, and then they were going to travel the world and do all of these wonderful things. And then like 2 years before the wife's retirement, she ended up getting cancer and then passing away. And then now the husband was left with all of this money and was able to retire, but felt so awful about the prospect of traveling without his wife that it just never happened. Because he was like, this was our money. I can't do anything with it.
Felt guilty.
Exactly. And so it's, it really highlights, don't save and wait. for
The rainy
future.
day isn't coming.
Exactly.
Do it now.
I tell my
Find
kids all the
balance
time, I'm
now.
leaving you nothing.
Right.
I'm leaving you nothing. Like, I'm enjoying what I make.
Yeah.
My husband and I are enjoying.
The power of 2 feet. Remember the power of 2 feet.
What's
What is
that,
it,
Mike?
Mike?
Share.
Power of 2 feet, walk away. You control you. Nobody controls you.
Right.
That's the power of 2 feet. If you're not comfortable, walk away. You've got to walk away. I have a friend of mine. We were all in the industry, and the comment was that I fired one of my clients because all she did was ask and ask and ask.
Yeah, take.
She said I had to walk away from that client. We
There's
need to look at this. I know it's horrible. I've only been in sales for a big number of years. It's the hardest thing I can do is fire a client or walk away.
But
Yeah,
Michael,
but
didn't we
sometimes
talk
yes.
about that in PC coaching 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Was like, build a business that it's okay to walk away and say no to something if it's too draining. There's no amount of money. Well, maybe there is sometimes, but
No, that gets into the other price
that's
tag.
really tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough. And Brian Edmondson, I wish he was on this, and maybe if there's time in our thing today, I'll ask him. But he was looking forward to his whole weekend last weekend. He was staying in my office, and I'm so excited. I don't have any appointments this weekend. Then he got a text from a client that said, "Hey, meant to tell you we're coming to town and we need to look." He showed like 12 houses, but what was their budget? 1.3. Up to 1.3.
Everybody's got a price for them to go up their weekend.
I know. And he was just like, but it hurt.
It did hurt.
And he didn't.
It did
It was
hurt
like,
because you know what the price should be to give up your weekend that you planned
With your
for and that you
family.
feel like you need? It should be infinite. It should be so big that you're not willing to give it up. Now, I don't blame Ryan. I was sitting on the beach in Miami on vacation, desperately needing it last year, biggest year of my life. Not kidding you, from April until the end of October, I did not take one day off. And my numbers showed it. Last year I did 4.1, I sold 23 units. It was what made me go, I need to build a team, because that's not sustainable
Yeah.
for me at 50. Okay? I worked so hard. I enjoyed every second of it. But I was sitting on the beach on that vacation where I had to crash because I was worn out, and the phone was still ringing. And I sold 2 houses, and I was thrilled about that. They were my listings, so that was easy. Didn't do anything. And then I had a buyer reach out, and they were in the 400s, and that was big for me then. But I turned it down. And I questioned myself for a good hour and a half after I didn't make the call. You know, it didn't take me a minute to not make the call.
Yeah.
It took me 2 hours to not make the call.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But ultimately didn't make the call. Because Jennifer, you're spot on. These vacations, this is why you feel like you need a vacation from your vacation, because your vacation didn't restore you.
It's one of the main reasons why, I mean, I'm gonna keep taking, but it's just going into leadership, is to try to figure out how to help realtors and our own staff, you know, including myself,
Yeah, you end up helping yourself.
figure out how to have that coverage, how to have that team, how to have team, not just team, but team.
Mhm.
Like all of us here, how are we covering for one another? Can everybody here in real estate can understand what it feels like to go on vacation and have the phone ring, and you're just like, crap, you know, your livelihood depends on it. But okay, am I willing to let it go for a referral, or is there an agent that can just cover for me, or whatever it is, and I can get back to it? Like, we need to come from a place of abundance, not fear.
Yes, yes, and find that one thing that restores you, whether it's every day,
Yeah.
every week, every month, every season, a vacation once a year, whatever those things are. I am on that massage membership, right? Because I like that. And every month I go and I get a facial massage. Now I'm gonna talk about it in our thing at 4 o'clock, because I'm not redlining that
Mhm.
ever.
That's a good,
Because my facial and my massage is the 1 hour of my month that makes all the other hours worth living. Period.
with working.
And I won't give it up.
Hang on, before you guys go, and I know Alana's supposed to go, I want everybody to turn around and say, hey. Where you at? Yay. Okay. Okay, Alana, bring us home.
All right, so I think, you know, we've been really focusing on counterbalance and all of that. I think my final takeaway to leave with everybody is, no matter how hard you try, there will always be things left undone at the end of your day, your week,
Amen.
your month,
Okay.
your year, and your life.
Yeah.
So you just focus on the things that are what give you purpose, what makes you happy, just like what we were talking about at the beginning. And so that what's living life in those extremes to be fulfilling, I think is the most important part. And
Yeah.
just accept and be okay with the fact that other things won't get done.
Yeah, and that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's everyone.
Yeah,
So-
hey.
Spices, don't
Oh my God.
All right. I hope to see everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Yes, for red, yellow, green.
Please show up at
Yes.
4 o'clock today. We really need y'all here.
Yes, it'll be Chris Keller
Support Chris
and
and
Ryan
Ryan.
Edmondson. So
Yes.
it'll be a good panel about, you know, cost and, you
All the
know,
things.
all the things, shifting markets. So.
See you guys later.
All
Bye.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
I really want us
Jay,
all
I
to-
see you.
I know, I've got